It's a long game, I know that. And if you love it, if you love the game, and you're okay with failing just a little bit, and you can tweak those failures, you can tweak those errors, you could definitely find a niche in the market, because there's so many different paths you can go with the market for majority of people. So it all depends on your personality, how you really go about the market.
Welcome everybody to another funded trader of TradethePool. Today, Chris is with me, a new funded trader of the $50,000 buying power flex account. Thanks for coming, Chris.
Thanks for having me.
For sure. So, Chris, you've been with us for a few attempts, right? You tried a few attempts before passing this evaluation. Let's start with the beginning. How do you go from blowing the account or terminate the account to passing the evaluation?
It all started, I believe, since last year I started with you guys. And I was looking through a couple of firms that were similar to you guys, but I liked the way you guys did things with the rule base. I think the rule base that you guys have was really more flexible for me on how I approach the market. And it started, since last year of April. And I blew through a couple of accounts now that I think about it, as my journey, progressed. And, as I progressed, I started to notice those little tweaks that could really kind of change the game for me and help me kind of progress and then get to that next step, which is evaluating. But it was definitely a journey, and I enjoyed it for the most part. And it beats, real money, obviously. You don't want to be blowing through real money as you're learning the game, progressing. So with you guys, I think it was the best deal for me and for others, obviously.
Amazing. And how long are you trading for?
I've been trading for about 3.5 years, almost 4. Yeah, January, it'll be my 4th year. But a lot of trial and error, figuring out what works for me, what doesn't work for me. But it's a long game, I know that. And if you love it, if you love the game, and you're okay with failing just a little bit, and you can tweak those failures, you can tweak those errors, you could definitely find a niche in the market, because there's so many different paths you can go with the market for majority of people. So it all depends on your personality, how you really go about the market, I believe.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree with that. And, you mentioned trial and error. How do you go about it? How do you take, let's say, an attempt evaluation or a failed trade and try to analyze it and understand what you need to do in order to become better?
I was under no guidance in my first year. I was really trying to find what worked best, what didn't work. So that was kind of bad on my end, my part, which, you kind of need a little bit of guidance as you start. You need like somebody to tell you what strategies work, what doesn't work. I think that would have kind of elevated or just kind of jumped my progress much more. But I believe it was just finding that tweak on those simple little errors that you find in the market. So the more experience that you get, whether it's 6 months or a year of doing the same thing, you start to unravel those things that aren't really working for you. So if you stick to it for a good amount, not saying just continue, keep going, and don't learn anything from it. I think that's what kind of hinders, my growth, especially a lot of people, I'm sure. But yeah, just the little tweaks, the little errors, and also go by, what works for you. You could trade the open, you can trade afternoon, swing trading, just kind of dabble, I think, is the best approach in the first year. Just have fun with it. And I think that's what most people don't really kind of like doing. They want to get rich quick scheme and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it could work, but for the long term, if you love it, just stick with it and have fun. I think that's what kind of worked for me. As soon as I started getting that mindset of, all right, don't focus on money, focus on what can you kind of tweak? What can you learn from those mistakes? That's when I started seeing progress. And, obviously it showed, but that mentality, you can go back and spiral. Your discipline can be no good again. So
yeah,
it's good learning. It's a good learning curve.
100%. It's always a debate, Are you starting and trying to experiment and try different strategies, different paths, different ways? until you find the right one for you, or to start with someone that tells you this is it, this is exactly what you need to do, stick to that till the end. From my
Exactly.
experience, I can say on myself that I did exactly as you did on the first year and even on the second year. Just trying so many stuff, different indicators, different time frames, different
Right.
strategies, risk management, and I think it gave me a whole lot of arsenal to use for the next one, for the next years.
Definitely. I admire you because I saw when I was on Trade the Pool, it said you traded, what was it? You were a team leader for 17 years of a
Yeah,
prop firm, which I found very fascinating. But yeah, just going through the strives of, that time frame and that learning curve over time. So if you stick with it, I mean, you definitely can grow from it. Just outside of trading, especially, definitely teaches you how to be just a better person, I think.
100% agree with you. Alrighty, I'm gonna share my screen and show the guys at home your dashboard, how it looks like, and how you can benefit from it. So, for those of you not familiar, every trader gets his own dashboard. The dashboard will show you your stats, the risk parameters, and you can really understand your progress and look at your equity curve. You can also check your achievements and payouts and customize your view, switch between light mode and dark mode. Let's see how you did on your evaluation. Alrighty,
Let's
this
see.
is it. So looking at the flex 50K, meaning you have $50,000 to trade with. That's the buying power. How do you feel about it, Chris? Is it enough buying power to trade with to execute your trades?
Yes, I believe it's more than enough. Even 25,000 is definitely more than enough. So if you're risking, let's say, $100 for the day, even $25,000 would be more than suffice. 50,000 gives you that more comfortability room to definitely add size. So that can be definitely worth achieving for if you want to up your size. So 50K definitely works. Definitely
Nice.
worked for me.
Nice. Profit target of 6%. You did that. Max loss $2,000 and daily pause of $1,000. Your numbers here below the risk reward ratio and the success rate are pretty nice. 57 is fairly good, and also the 1.6 on the risk reward. And also when looking at your your trading curve, you can easily see you had tiny dips, but eventually you bounced back very nicely. Some pullbacks, broke to a new high. You did it fairly well here. Let's dive into your trades. I went through them before the interview, and I saw a lot of Tesla going on here. So tell me a little bit about that. What are you looking for
So
when you're trading those?
yeah, Tesla is one of those volatile stocks. I'm sure everyone knows Tesla on how it moves. It can be very big one day and then sporadic the next day. Tesla is one of my watch list stocks that I play typically daily, majority throughout the week, as well as other large cap stocks. That's my main focus.
Yeah.
So I had some good days on Tesla, a little bit rough days on Tesla, but I tried to cut the loss. Obviously, that's what I was kind of focusing on more than making the money. So just trying to cut my loss as minimal as possible.
And I do love the fact that you're not going with too much size. As you mentioned, you do have the 50K to work with, but you're not going crazy about it. Each trade is a few shares here and then. So that's great. It shows that you
Yeah,
really try to handle your risk side too.
yeah, that's a big piece. When you have all this capital, it can be very tempting to
Hmm.
go in for a crazy amount. So, that was one of also the rules I had too.
So walk us through a little bit about the strategy. What are you looking for? There's a chart, opening bell. What do you do?
I trade mainly off the open, Michael. I trade typically large cap stocks. So Tesla, for example, JPM, Google is one of them. NVDA has been a pretty big, hot list stock, obviously. But I trade mostly open, about an hour and a half throughout the market session, and I trade pullbacks for the majority, short squeeze plays as well as gap plays, so 2 to 8%, or I can play more of a tight consolidation play if the pre market is very consolidated and not much price actions going on. That'll give me an opportunity to kind of strike an early price off that open. So within like the first, I would say 2 to 5 minutes, I would jump into a stock that looks very volatile during that open. So it all depends on how the market's acting. If the market's acting clean for that day, I would obviously trade the first maybe 10 minutes to 20 minutes and then be done and let my opening size just let it run. I don't have trail stops. I mainly just kind of watch as I go, which I should start doing trail stops. I think that's kind of what my next step would be, which is kind of foolish to not do. But as I get more familiar with profiting, I think that's kind of the next phase.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So first of all, I do love the fact that, as you mentioned, you go with a smaller size or a filler at the beginning, just testing it, and then adding to the position, which is a great way to increase your success rate, and of course, be more confident in that trade that you take, because you let it play. And definitely, I'm a fan of trading large cap as well. I've been doing roughly the same. Qs and Tesla is my number one or two the assets that I'm trading, so I can relate to that. And sometimes you don't need really a lot of number of shares in order to actually make money, right? A few good shares on Tesla could easily be a few hundreds or thousands every single day. Amazing. Alrighty, let's go back a little bit to TradethePool. Since you've been with us for a year and a half now, first of all, how did you like the journey so far? Let's talk about that, because we did a lot of changes, right?
Definitely a roller coaster, but a fun roller coaster. It's a good challenge for yourself. It really does teach you a lot as you're going through and as you're learning. The platform in general, I would say the platform that you guys have is super clean. It just flows with everything, whether you traded for 2 years or whether you're new to it. The platform kind of keeps you in that, not beginner, but it's clear. It's very clear, which is good. So the platform in the first year helped me kind of navigate where to go, how to learn a little bit. So as I kind of blew up those first 2-3 accounts, I started realizing that, okay, it's not the platform, it's obviously me. How can I work on myself? How could I fix the errors that I'm doing? So kind of every week I went over what I was doing wrong during that time. And it took a little longer than I expected, obviously, because it's been a year. But I noticed that those errors, I'll write them down, but I notice I keep doing those same errors every single time. And I'm wondering why I keep doing it. And it all has to do with, okay, when you're in that mode, when you're in that session, you need to actually go through that error. You need to feel that error and then be aware of it. So I had that kind of, I would say, dark hole kind of for like 6 months of doing the same thing over and over again, the same error nonstop. Yeah. And that was the learning curve that I needed with your guys' platform, because if I did this with real money, it would be a very expensive error. So this was definitely a good learning curve, I would say.
Yeah, this is definitely, I totally agree with you. Something that I'm mentioning a lot to new traders, especially new guys that coming in, just to the trading industry, trading space. Try TradethePool even on a 5K account, just because you don't need to waste your own capital on trials and error, as you mentioned. So even a 5K account on a simulator, when you have a little bit of skin in the game, right? A minimum of skin in the game, because you did pay for it. But because you paid for it, you're more committed to it, and you can actually trade and understand a little bit better about your trading and improve yourself over time.
Definitely. Yeah, it doesn't need to be like a, break the bank, sum of money while you're in. You can't be stressed out. But as long as there's a little bit, you're like a little bit invested in it, that way it's not simulated. You still have the same emotions as opposed to real money, I think. And I think that's like very, very important, very crucial for your developing journey. I think that's huge. So definitely helped me graduate, and I think it's on to a good path.
That's amazing, Chris. Thanks so much for this interview and insights. I'm sure the guys that will listen to it will love it. And I wish you best of luck on your funded account. Maybe in the future we'll do another episode after you get your payout. And again, thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
For sure.
Thank you. Yep.
And guys, if you want to check us out, go to tradethepool.com. start small, build yourself, and then go from there. See you on the next video. Take care.